Hello, everyone. It's Charlene Lee, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Breakthrough Brigade. It's some research that we did earlier this year, earlier in 2022, but I thought it'd be a good thing to talk about right now because we're in 2023. We are looking at the year new and afresh, and we're excited about the things we're going to do, create, innovate, and want to talk about the innovation process and in particular, how we're thinking about it, how we're seeing it evolve, and also what are some of the changes I think some organizations need to make. So I'm particularly interested in this because our research has found that many companies see that this is a really important thing. Just some stats, and I'll just put in some of the information here about where to find this report that I'm going to talk about. It's called the Breakthrough Brigade, and you can find it at paconsulting.com/breakthrough brigade. And some of a little bit of context setting is that when we surveyed leaders, 74% said that breakthrough innovation is extremely important now, especially after COVID. There's just a lot more going on. There's a lot more complexity. And so therefore breakthroughs, things that actually drive huge amounts of growth and change and possibility for organizations is more important than ever. And 42% said they don't think they can survive in the long term unless they can consistently generate new revenues through this level of breakthrough innovations. And yet at the same time, we found that even though there's this great desire and recognition for breakthrough innovation, 73% continue to prioritize efficiency and cost reduction over breakthrough innovation. And another 59% say that short-term and medium-term focus gets in the way of breakthrough innovation. And as you can imagine, 21% said that their breakthrough innovations are being held back by company cultures. I was recently working with an executive team and looking at their innovation roadmap, and they had lots of things going through, and most of them were in this efficiency and productivity area. They were incrementally innovating on their products and their services to improve and hopefully give a little bit tweak here and there to increase a little bit of a margin, to get more loyalty, but it was all incremental. And then on the chart were these breakthrough innovations, and they were 2-3 years out. And when I dug a little deeper into them, I go, well, what does it look like? What do those efforts look like? Well, they're sort of in the drawing board phase right now. They're not really concrete. They're sort of pie in the sky. We think they could have a lot of potential, but honestly, we're not putting a lot of effort into it. And yet when I talk to them about their ambitions of what they want to do, it is very much centered on this new future, this new kind of company that's reliant on breakthrough innovations, but clearly in terms of the roadmap and their investments, it's not happening. So we see this happening over and over and over again. And so what I want to do today is talk a little bit about why this is the case and how what we can do to make that different. So one of the things I wanted to do was just to talk about some of the findings from this report, the Breakthrough Brigade. Before I do that, I just want to see if anybody had questions. Thank you, Izzy, for putting the link into it. I was about to go do that, but thank you for putting that in. I'll do that again here, just so if people are coming late into the stream, you can see the report. It's always fun to have to cut and paste in the middle of a stream, but there you go. And Omar, thank you for joining too as well. Love to see you. And Jay has an interesting comment. Efficiency and productivity don't challenge a culture. Leadership in many organizations is based on established culture. Losing that culture would mean a challenge to the power structure. Oh, so true, Jay. I think you nailed it on the head that if you're going to change the culture, it could change the way that your leadership has to work. And so that's challenging to the people in power. One of the things I studied in college was this whole idea of the monarch's dilemma. How do I give up control? How do I change the culture? How do I change the state of things? Because as a monarch, I know things need to change. But if I do that, the villagers are going to come and attack me. So I'm not going to do this. That's a dilemma. So I think one of the things that we'll talk about today is really how do you actually do this? And just to give you an idea, our research found that Not that many people are really doing what we think are good innovations. Only about 23% of companies are really engaging in breakthrough innovation on a consistent basis. And what I mean by that is they're not only investing in breakthrough innovations, they're also seeing significant returns on investment from that. And I think even here, the numbers may be a little bit high, from the research we see, there's evidence that this group is truly engaging in breakthrough innovation, and they're seeing a lot more than the people who I call incrementalists. So I think it's important to think about what is it that these folks do that's really different. So first of all, I just want to show this. This is a really cool chart. It shows that the people who are in the breakthrough brigade, the orange bars, are seeing consistently a lot more returns, more than 16% returns on their innovation projects. So it's fairly even, as you can see, between the percentages of the incrementalists and the breakthrough brigade, which are getting various returns. But it's really outstanding that the breakthrough brigade is seeing significantly higher, and a higher percentage of them are seeing significantly higher returns on their innovation investments. And it also bodes well that this is one of my favorite charts. It shows that the breakthrough brigades are investing a lot more. They are investing on average in that third column there, that third group, 40% incremental, 60% on breakthrough. That's how they're splitting out their innovation budgets. Whereas, as you see, the incrementalists are much more focused, 60 to 80% are focused on incremental innovations. So when you put your money where your mouth is, where you say you want to create breakthrough innovations, well, the budgets better follow. In this company that I was talking to, their overall innovation budget was about 8% of their operating costs, and the percentage actually spent on breakthrough was less than 1%. So you can see that the ratio between the two need to shift. If you truly want to drive breakthrough innovation, then you have to be able to spend and dedicate more of it to that. And yet the ability to do that is really low for most companies. They're just not confident that if they make those investments, that they'll actually pay off. And will you actually get the returns, period? Because it seems really risky versus I can invest in something right now, do an incremental tweak on something. No, I'm going to use those numbers to get to my quarterly numbers and be able to help nudge that number rather than invest my very few scarce dollars into something in the future that's uncertain. So one of the things to think about here is how do we actually break through on this? And one of the things that we find is that when people do this, they are getting stuck. There are definitely sticking points where people are have all the ambition and they can generate. So 100% of people say, yeah, we are generating great ideas for breakthrough innovation. That's usually not the problem. The problem is typically much more specific. They have a hard time, what I call the blocked brains gap. There's a gap from having an appetite for wanting to create the breakthrough innovation to actually coming up with the ideas. So only about 72% are actually able to generate breakthrough ideas. About a quarter of companies and leaders reported that we just get stuck. We can't even come up with the ideas. But again, 3/4 of the people are able to move into that second area, ability to generate. But then they have another gap in that they can't come up and fully form that concept to be able to commercialize that. Only about 22% of companies are able to commercialize, bring to market, fully create not just a minimally viable product at MVP, but also bring it to market, have it gain traction. And those are the people in the Breakthrough Brigade. Now, one of the things I find so interesting about this is that what is it about each of those gaps? What are the issues here that really slow companies down? And what I want to do today is spend a lot more of the time talking about each of those areas. And so we're a little slide heavy today. Oh, by the way, I do want to put in a link to my slides because I keep getting asked about that. So let me get to my link here, copy, and I'll paste it in. Let's see, get to the right window. Gotta love doing things live. So you can find the slides at charlinglee.com/breakthrough brigade. And you can download these slides there too as well. Hopefully they'll be helpful to you. They're actually pulled from the report, but this is a nice, easy way to be able to see some of the key things that I want to share today. So the interesting thing that we found from the research is that the biggest barriers happen in each of those areas. Being able to generate ideas, being able to commercialize the ideas, just bring it to market. But in particular, the last area, which is scaling the idea. And I'll just go through each of these very quickly because you can see them on the slides here too as well. When you're generating ideas, one of the biggest issues is that there's a product or infrastructure, technology issues that get in the way, or there's a quality of the ideas. People are not used to creating them, or they see that I have an idea, but we don't have the technology or the capabilities to be able to do that. So just generating the ideas, being able to conceive them, conceptualize them, and put them down on paper requires, again, not only skills and resources, but also that focus and time being set aside to develop that capability, that skill, that competency inside of the organization. And that takes investment. It doesn't just happen overnight. For companies that can generate the ideas, commercializing it is another key problem. And the first one is just, again, it's slow. The capabilities aren't there. The innovation process has way too many gates. I remember once working at a company where we had an innovation committee. And you can't think of a more oxymoronic word combination of innovation and committee that just tells you these innovation ideas went to the committee, and the committee it basically said, if it doesn't generate a 6-month return, we're not going to do it. And we were all just sitting there going, but we're never going to be able to produce anything of meaningful consequence if we want to do something really breakthrough. So sometimes the innovation process gets in the way. And then also, if you're dependent on in-house capabilities, you think about what business as usual does. It's really good at delivering the status quo, the business as usual. And if you're expecting the business to do something completely different, that's new, that's innovative, truly breakthrough, it's very likely that those competencies don't exist in-house. So bringing it to market requires hiring new people, building up new departments or new capabilities, service units. And so that may not be in place. So you have a great idea, you have a minimally viable product that looks like it's testing pretty well, but bringing it into market, you realize you don't have those capabilities here. It's going to take some time to build them, or you just say, it's not going to be worth it. We've got other priorities. And then the last area is when you're scaling. When you have it in the market, being able to scale things is a totally different thing. So understanding, first of all, just how customers are actually evolving, because you could start something, conceptualize it, but how are you actually going to bring it to all the different permutations, not just one niche marketplace, but to of the followers, the fast followers after those initial innovators who pick up your new product. And then again, we find that the slow speed of innovation also hampers the scaling of these breakthrough innovations. Because again, if you want to take it into the market, you have to have agility to be able to respond to the changing market needs. You may have to market in new ways, through new channels, to new audiences, and we just don't know how to do that. So this is not innovation just within the inner sanctum of an innovation group. Breakthrough innovations require that the entire organization be geared towards innovation and driving breakthrough. It's not just coming with the ideas or coming up with a minimally viable product. It's about taking it to market and then scaling it. Let me give you an example. Let me first of all close out these slides, because that's what I have for today in terms of slides. One more, I'll come back to it later. But the idea here is that if you are going to create breakthrough innovations, it is something that you have to anticipate far in advance and gear your entire organization around the fact the end-to-end innovation process begins with understanding your customers and then understanding their needs, developing it in the lab, bringing it to market. And as far into the future, the further you can look into the future and understand those future customer needs, the more likely you are to actually create something in the short term that will meet those customers in that time when you're ready, when they are ready to receive it. That's really hard to do. And it's been the bulk of my work explaining how do you come up with these breakthrough disruptive ideas. And I think the number one thing you have to do is to think about that future customer, bring them forward to today, invest in them, as well as focus on your current customers, focus on those future customers, and have a model for the entire organization around what that customer wants and needs. And yeah, you're making some pretty big bets. And the thing though is, it's not etched in stone. You can change, you can evolve, you can pivot, you can actually change your mind and go, we thought the market was going to go this way. It's actually going to go in this direction instead. So it's understanding and being willing to explore, to innovate, to try a lot of things, fail at them, continue to move forward. And it's a very different approach and mindset to do breakthrough innovation than to do incremental innovation. And so a couple things to keep in mind, and this is where the last slide is going to come in. And I'm going to talk about this more next time in more depth, which is the 5 things that we need to do in order to be much more innovative and breakthrough. There are things like dare to be a breakthrough growth leader. That means, taking those big bets, understanding the market, practicing, maybe just thinking 6 months or 12 months ahead, and then extending the timeline. Invest in experimentation. This seems like an obvious thing, but do you truly, truly invest in experimentation? Do we allow for the fact that this money may be, quote, wasted? No money is ever wasted. It may not work out the way you wanted to, but then you have learned so much about what works, what doesn't work, and that will feed your next level of exploration and experimentation. Ready your rebels. Who are the rebels in your organization? Are they being supported? Are they being prepared? Can you find them outside the organization? And we're going to dig deeper into this next week. And build an innovation engine, as we saw from the previous slide, that a lot of the things around the innovation process being too slow. So how do you build an engine that actually works efficiently, well, smoothly, and quickly, gives you a lot of power? And lastly, nailing the idea and then scaling the idea. And I'll be digging into this next week too as well. How do you figure out how to nail that idea? What is that idea? How do you center around it? Get everyone to agree, deliver on that idea, and then how do you scale it? I find that the biggest issue right now is that we're oftentimes trying to do innovation by committee so that no one actually has to stick their neck out and say, yeah, let's give the green light to this and I'll own it. Because what if it doesn't work? How is that going to hit my annual bonus if it doesn't work? And so there's lots of other issues involved with nailing that idea that I want to dig into a little bit more. So that's what I have for today. I do want to see if there's any questions or comments. I think there's one more here. So Jay has a question. Couldn't you have a portfolio approach where you have a skunk works and then you have incremental improvement? Google has been attending this for the last decade or so. So yes, a portfolio approach, absolutely. That roadmap that I saw was a portfolio, but it was incredibly weighted towards this incremental approach. So think about a financial profile. It'd be like 95% bonds, 5% stocks. That's not going to help you with your growth of your overall financial portfolio. It needs to be rebalanced in thinking about the investments you want to make in those breakthrough innovations. And I'll just go back to this slide, Jay, which I think is such an important thing to have. This is the slide that shows, in particular, the percentage breakdowns of incremental versus breakthrough innovation. And the Breakthrough Brigade, the orange people, orange bars here, just invest a lot more in the ratio. So it's still a portfolio. It's not like they're not doing any incremental, but they're putting a lot more effort in their investments, the time, the people, the resources are much more likely to be focused on the breakthrough innovations and less on the incremental. And it kind of makes sense that, but you're seeing also that it pays off in terms of their innovations driving just huge ROIs. Again, this slide here, I mean, I think all of us would like to be in those orange charts where we're seeing huge returns on our innovation. But the only way you get there, frankly, is to invest in the breakthrough innovations and to invest in this type of profile here. So let's go back. Lots of comments coming here. So is it linear, Jay asked? Often breakthroughs come without anticipating customer needs. I would actually say that they oftentimes are related to customer needs. Yeah, there are discoveries that are happening in the lab or elsewhere, and then they find a need, an ability to apply that. I think 3M's Post-it notes was a great example. An engineer came up with a glue that didn't stick. Another engineer met them randomly and said, hey, I've got this problem. I need things to mark my crier book, because he's a crier director. And the pieces of paper kept falling out. And they had a breakthrough idea like, hey, what if you took this innovation and applied it to a particular need? There was a customer need at the center of that. So breakthrough innovations don't happen in a vacuum. They really do happen when you pull together these ideas, see a customer need, bring it to market, commercialize it, and then scale it. Angela has this great point. Organizational structure is absolutely key. Podular supports multiple innovations and teams. I assume that Podular is a company. I'll have to take a look into that. But I think organizational structure, but I think it's not just structure, but that process that the organization has. So where innovation sits in the organization has a lot to do with who gets involved. And then who gets involved, there's a whole process that needs to follow. I think the biggest mistake people do is they change structure and then hope that process follows from that. I actually encourage people to think about the process and then modify the structure to support the process. So a little bit of a different way. Marissa says, I met an artisan who became a master craftsman, was told upfront to anticipate losing $10,000 in the process of initially learning the craft. That's a great example, Marissa, because what you're making the point here is that innovation is a craft. It's a skill. It is something that you don't just pull off the shelf and then read the instruction book and then push a button and it happens. And I think thinking about losing the money, investing in the process is absolutely key. And the incremental short-term mindset prevents us from making those investments in the breakthrough innovations. Again, if you look at the major reasons why people were saying that they were being held back, they didn't have a way to prioritize the breakthrough innovations because of the review process. The short-term needs got in the way. The company cultures got in the way. You can fix all of those things if it's important to you, but they have to be important. And they require that investment and the foresight to say, this is going to be really important to us in the future. We're going to have to invest in it. So that's what I have for today. And Manuel, I just have to show this because he just sends his love. So thank you, Manuel, for coming today and just sharing that too as well. So again, you can get the slides there. I'll put up here again, just the breakthrough report. You can see at paconsulting.com/breakthrough-brigade. So that's what I have for today. Next week, I'm going to be continuing this discussion and going into greater detail with some very specific actions that you can take. Again, I wanted to do today to set up what the problem is. And again, if you are so inclined, I would love to hear how your organization, how you're seeing other leaders actually do this. Focus on the breakthrough innovations when it's everything in their nature, everything in their incentive programs, the way that the company is organized to do the opposite, to invest in the incremental innovations. So we'll talk about some of the ways to do that. I'll focus on the rebels and also about how to generate the ideas, because the process, there's lots been written about innovation process. There's lots been written about how to create that. What I really want to focus on are some of the quick little things that can start doing a reset in your organization. Just reset the mindset around how to think about breakthrough innovations, and hopefully little actions that can start putting you in the right direction of being able to invest and see your way to making these breakthrough innovations. So I will see you next week on Valentine's Day. We've tried to remember to wear red in honor of that, but please join me then to discuss other actions that you can take. Until then, take care. All the best trying to create your own breakthrough brigade. Thanks. Bye-bye.